Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about your spiritual awareness in your life. We're going to talk about your practical awareness in your life. We're going to talk about your communication awareness in your life. And then we're going to talk about your emotional awareness in your life. And if you want to know why you have issues, now I'm gonna use myself. I'm gonna go ahead and hang myself on the cross and use my own natal chart as an example, so you can go into your chart and kind of understand things in certain ways. So when we want to talk about why do you have too much spirituality or lack spirituality, when you want to talk about why you're so practical and use so much common sense, or why you lack it, when you want to talk about what you have and what you don't have, a lot of times these don't necessarily deal with your actual planets, because you could be, like for an example, you could be a person who got all left brain type of signs, which is earth and air, and you can still be a highly spiritual person, because when we talk about the areas of your life, these don't necessarily play out as the attributes of who you are. Because for an example, you could be like I said, you could be a person who's straight left brain, but you can have all these left brain planets in right brain houses. So this makes you logically or practically want to understand the yin realms. So this makes you still a spiritual person. So really, it's just like your planets is just your actions, your tools, what you have, and the houses is actually the life situations that these characteristics play out. So if you're a super left brain practical person, but all your planets is in a right brain house, that will let you know that you're still spiritual. So you know what I'm saying? That's why you'll probably be looking at yourself like, well, I got a lot of air, I got a lot of earth in my chart, but I'm still spiritual. And that would be the reason. Now when we talk about as far as learning these 4 areas of your life, which is your spirituality of your life, your practicality of your life, your communication and social areas of your life, and your emotional stance of your life, you're going to have to look at the houses. Now, the houses is actually the life situation. So we know your spiritual house, how you're going to understand your spiritual nature, you're going to have to look towards your fire houses, your spiritual houses, which is going to be the first, the first, 5th, and 9th. Now these are the fire houses. The first house is ruled by Aries, the 5th house is ruled by Leo, and the 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius. So it don't matter what sign you have in these houses, the sign that you have there is how you're going to actually orchestrate your spiritual nature. So if you have an air sign in the 1st, 5th, or 9th house, then the way you conduct your spirituality is going to be in an air way, communicative and analyzing and thought form type of way. If you have an earth placement in one of these houses, then you're going to do it in a very practical, logical way, and think in ways that make sense. If you have a water sign in these houses, then you're going to play your spiritual attributes out in an emotional connection to it, or emotional surroundings, or a feeling and expression, and illusions and imaginations of spirituality, right? And if you have a fire here, then you actually can see and be able to express your spirituality freely. So you know, that's the attributes, and then whatever planet goes into one of these houses is how it's actually going to play out. So your first house would be how you are spiritually, personally, how you personally express your spirituality and the spiritual things that goes on in your personal life. So off the bat, your personality is a representation of the idea of you. So when you express yourself, or just your basic personality, that's basically the spirit of you. So when people, this is why the ascendant is being picked up first. So when you meet somebody, you first pick up their ascendant. So say you are Gemini, right? And then you meet somebody whose sun or moon is in Scorpio or Taurus, right? But when you meet them, they very talkative, very communicative, right? This is the first thing you pick up. And you're like, dang, I get your actions pick up on their ascendant, basically, on their personality. You're like, I could get with this person, but once you start to be around them for a minute and start to know how they act and react, aka you start to understand their actions and reactions, aka you start to understand what they want and need. And then if it start to show the attributes of Scorpio and Taurus, it's going to throw you off a little bit. So when you're around these people personally, yeah, they're communicative, you get with that, but when their actions and their reactions, you don't get with it. You don't get what they're being communicative about, the stuff that they're acting on and reacting on. So you're like, damn, this is throwing me off. You know what I'm saying? And that's because that's the reason. But if you got a friend and you are a Gemini and your friend is a Capricorn or something that doesn't go along with Gemini, you're wondering why you get along with them, because it could be the same reason. Maybe they have an ascendant in Gemini or Libra or Aquarius. So the Sun in Capricorn, a lot of times their actions, you're able to get over that easily because their personality is what connects you in the first place. So it goes in a lot of different ways. But you know, the first house is dealing with your spiritual self and how you express yourself, your personality. So this is going to contain all the spiritual energies from the 5th and the 9th house, which is the 5th house is how you spiritually attain your creative endeavors and what you spiritually choose to entertain or not entertain in your life, which are people, places, things, or conversations, or whatever. And then is your total expression, what you choose to express, what you choose to be into, how you choose to express yourself, like how your room look, how you choose to dress, or things of that nature. So ultimately, that's going to get filtered through the first house. Then your 9th house is what you know spiritually, what your education or knowledge and your spiritual realm, how far and the limits that these can go, how high, how broad perspective you can take these spiritual natures. So depending on what sign, what element, yeah, aka what sign you have in the 9th house, that's how it's going to play out these attributes. You know what I'm saying? You have a water in the 9th house, the way you attach to experiences in your life and gaining wisdom and knowledge, you're going to attach to it in an emotional way. You're going to remember everything that you went through in your life, even the little stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you have an earth sign in the 9th house, you're gonna be very practical and make sense out of the information that you're receiving and your experiences, and try to make it a reality or make something physical out of it. So these are people who take their education level or their knowledge base and try to gain off of it or get something that external or some physical representation from it, as far as like an accolade or money, or take the information that they receive from college and what they call degrees that you get, and then you can go present it and go get it. Like, these are people, the earth signs here, and then air signs here, like to think abstract and think past, present, future, and think and give ideas when it comes to the 9th house as far as experiences in their life and gaining wisdom and knowledge. But this is how you're going to obtain your spiritual natures, through the 9th, 5th, and the 1st house. And this all builds into your spirit, because the first house is the I am, the self. So it's how you personally develop yourself. It's your personal issues, everything that's going on in your personal life, whether it's people, places, or things. And all that develops your personality. So ultimately, your personality is your spiritual, is the first pinpoint of your spiritual path, along when it starts in the 1st house and go all the way to the 12th house and go over again as you go up in age. So it's all the houses is getting filtered through the 1st house to a certain degree. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, all this deals your personality. This is your spirit. That's why when someone who got a good personality, you feel like this is a high-spirited person. This is an upbeat person. I like being around this person. You see what I'm saying? Or with a person personally always down. They always got low spirits and things of that nature. A lot of times this is what you're picking up. They have something conflicting their 1st house. Now, or their 5th or their 9th house. Now, when you go to the practical houses, if you want to so basically, if you want to understand why you don't have no spirituality, or if you do have, or you have too much spirituality, look towards the 1st, 5th, or the 9th houses. And if you don't have no planets there, you have to look at the planet lords. But this is going to be something you lack. So if you don't use the planet lords, you're gonna you're not going to be able to. For an example, my 1st house is in Leo, right? So I got a fire in the 1st house, right? So I express my inner freely. You know what I'm saying? I express what I visualize or what I see inside freely, because fire is the filler and the seer. Now, it's fixed fire. So personally, Leo can be more emotional than the Sag and the Aries, because even though it represents the filling and the seer, you know what I'm saying, a lot of times it can play out emotionally like water, because it's a fixed fire. So fixed fire is like it catch the feeling and it wants to express it, but not only express it, stay there. It want to stay in that fire flame, stay the way that dance. So it want to be perceived a certain way. This is why they got pride. This is why they like being liked, and they don't want to change, and they act in expressions that's applicable to the situation, just for the sake of being liked or just for the sake of being hated, if that's the circumstance. So right here, when Leo's fixed fire, this is why this is the flame that stays burning. So right here, and anytime a flame has to stay burning, it has to be burning something, which is earth. So this is why this makes the fire Leo more passionate and more fixated on material things, or getting things here, or passionately being seen on the stage or something like that, because it's burning on the earth. A stage is a earth. A fire on it is the expression on that stage. So it want to stay there, center stage. So it doesn't necessarily have to go in entertainment, but a lot of times a stage is one of the most prominent things in entertainment. But a stage, just metaphysically, period, just means being the center stage of a circumstance. Just like the sun. The sun rules Leo. So when you look at the sun, what is the sun? It appears from an earth perspective that it's the center of a circumstance. It brings all attention. All attention and focus is on it. You see what I'm saying? So when it happens, or is giving off all the attention, and it would like to receive all the attention back. So when it's not, it do shit like leave y'all motherfuckers in the cold till y'all motherfuckers have y'all humans praying, oh, I can't wait till it's spring and summer again. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all want to give it attention. You see what I'm saying? You wouldn't even be in the realm of reality of experiencing seasons that way. That's another video though. You know what I'm saying? But when we want to talk about each sign, or how you want to know what you lack spiritual nature, then look at your 1st, 5th, and 9th. Now going to your practical houses. Your practical houses is the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th house. So if you want to know why you're not gaining stability in your life, or if you want to know why you have more stability in your life than others, or if you want to know why you're just not in that realm of reality at all, you may not have no planets there or anything like that. You have to look towards the planet lords in order to kick things and activate it. But for the most part, when you have how things naturally gonna be, if you want to know anything about your practical nature, look towards your 2nd, 6th, and 10th house. The 2nd house is how you plant seeds, how you actually value something, actually stay fixated on something enough in your mind to know that it could be valued, it could be appreciated, it could build your self-esteem. It's something that you have. The I have house. You may have a talent. A lot of times in this realm of reality, it's so left brain that people didn't tie I have to external things and material things. So now they turn the 2nd house to I have. And then when you get an astrologer reading your chart, they telling you that the 2nd house is about money and your materials and shit like that. But really, when we want to get spiritual, nigga, what you have is what the fuck you have inside. If you have a talent, an inspiration, a goal or something like that, that is something you're supposed to value. Now, if you have to use external things to value it, if you have to use external things in place in order for you to get from point A to point B, then that's when the 2nd house could come into access. But for the most part, what you have is what you have. You have yourself. You have your own self-esteem. Don't depend on nobody else to make you feel good or make you feel pretty. You feel to yourself what that is. And if you are a person who need other people in their life or things to cover up what they lack, or they have to have some type of material gain and representation for what their insecurities, then you need to specifically look at your 2nd motherfucking house, because your 2nd house involves your values and your self-esteem. And if you value in too many other people's opinions, you might have a mutable sign there. If you valuing if you waiting on someone else to give you a compliment or do something for you to uplift you or make you feel good about whatever you're doing, whatever you should be valuing, then you might got a fucked up 2nd house. You see what I'm saying? So 2nd house is to plant the seeds. The 6th house is how you work on the seeds, aka the 6th house is work, health, routine, things you do on a day-to-day basis, and scheduling. So right here in the 6th house, this is working on that seed. You take what you value from the 2nd house and work on it every day. Make sure you schedule it. You know what I'm saying? Look at the details, everything. You know what I'm saying? Work on it every day. You know what I'm saying? Then the 10th house is going to be how it actually receiving the fruits of the labor. You're going to actually be known for what you valued from the 2nd house. You worked on it, built up the energy of being known for what you value. And then in the 10th house, now you're known for it. This is what you're seeing. This is what you're seeing. This is how people see you. This is what you're known for. Then the more and more you work on that and develop that energy, you're going to develop and be able to receive the fruits of that labor. So now it becomes your status. it becomes your career, which you valued from the second house and what you worked on every day, and if it was a talent, and then once you broadcast it, and now that you're known for it and start to receive and get practical and in reality with it, and it start to be your status, you start to receive the accolades from them, and then it can become your career. So if you don't know where your career at, or you don't know how to stabilize yourself, or you don't know why you're not receiving any practicality or no stability in your life, then you need to look towards your 2nd, 6th, and 10th houses. And then once you see how it's set up, once you see what signs is there, once you see what planets is there, you're going to be able to see why it's set up. For an example, if things keep being a blockage in your way of getting from point A to point B, and you just can't get this material thing, or you just can't get to work or something like that for a situation like that, then you may have Saturn either in the 2nd house, or you may have Saturn in the 6th house. But if you got Saturn in the 10th house, whether you're in a good situation or a bad situation, Saturn is going to put it in reality and create a circumstance for you that there's always going to be a structure there. So you could be a person who don't have a car to get to work, but there's always going to be somebody around you who may have a car for you to get to work. You may be a person who may not know how to express their talents, but it may be a person always around you who are already got some prestige that's putting you in a spotlight, forcing you to do it. These are people who do things and get famous for it, and their success story, they tell you that they didn't even really want to do it. It'd be a success story like, dang, I didn't even want to do it, but my friend or this situation or this circumstance happened, and it just forced me, and I just said, let me go ahead and do it. And once I really got real with it, it worked. Anytime you hear conversations like that, these people either they got a Saturn in the 10th house, or they didn't learn from the fallen shorts of Saturn being in the 6th or the 2nd house, because Saturn don't do too well in those houses. But you know, but for the most part, if you want to know why you're not gaining stability in your life, look at those houses. Now, I could definitely explain about the next house. I mean, the next realm of reality, which is your communication factor. My social skills is shot. Y'all may be here seeing me be social and seeing me talk, but that's because the human vessel has that form of doing it. But when we get metaphysically into the concept of communication in air signs know this the best, because there's certain frequencies that they know how to tap into in order to communicate effectively and use words. Like, it could be a person who don't even know as many languages or words or slang as you do, but if this person have a lot of air in their chart, is some way, some reason, the way they communicate still comes across. You know what I'm saying? So if it is an extremely dumb person with a lot of air in their chart, they're going to be highly known for being extremely dumb. And their dumbness may not even be their downfall. People may even like them for that. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's just a different frequency that airs know how to tap into when it comes to communication. So when we go to even forms of communication with any sign, just using a vessel, a lot of times, yeah, we all can talk, but it's just certain frequencies that air signs could tap into. Like, you ever even listening to music, you can hear one person who may be a water or a fire sign or earth sign. Like an earth sign, you may hear a lot about money or what they have. A fire sign, you may hear a lot about spirit, or a lot about what they can do and what they can't do. Water sign, you may hear a lot about their relationships, or a lot about their past, and a lot about their memories. When it comes to an air sign know how to communicate about the past, present, and future. So this puts them outside the box. So a lot of times you could come across an air musician, and their music might not even be as good as a fire, earth, or water person, but at the same time they're going to come across way more people, way more air. Their air going to be received by way more antennas, be picked up way more, because it's just a certain frequency that the air tap into that just other signs may not understand, and the air sign themselves may not understand it, because air rules the earth. So the frequency of air knows itself. So an air sign don't be knowing what they doing, but they're tapping into that frequency because that's their energy. So you know what I'm saying? It just plays out that way. You get a lot of air signs a lot of times talk their way into good situations and don't even know how they're in this good situation. They just be like, oh damn, I just walked up the street, walked in this building, and started talking to this person and met this person and shit. I've been here for 10 years now, making good money. See what I'm saying? It's like shit like that. But if you want to know why you can't be in a situation like that, then you may be like me. And the air houses is the 3rd, 7th, and the 11th. And I have no planets in the 3rd, 7th and a 11th. Now the communication houses, and how you want to know if you have too much communication or if you lack communication, this is how you look at it. Now the 3rd house is how you actually develop communication in your life, period, based upon your surroundings and stuff. So a lot of this is dealing with self-communication, how you communicate with the first group of people you know, your surroundings, your neighbors, your close friends, and things of that nature. So now when you develop communication, period, as coming up in life, now you have a personal communication style. Now how you develop that with one-on-one. Now how you actually take your forms of how in your outlook of how you look at communication and thinking. Now you take that and now you apply it to people. Now you apply it to the world. Now you're relatable in the world. So now you're applying your communication style with other people's communication styles, which comes from the 3rd house into the 7th house. You see what I'm saying? So you take your basic awareness of communicating. Now that you have a basic sense of communicating based upon who your brothers, your sisters in the house, your mother, or whatever like that, however you came up, now you have a basic sense. Now when you start to go to school and start like that, and when you start to even communicate with the people you learn communication with, you're jumping into the 7th house. How you communicate on a one-on-one level, or just how you communicate your own personality, because it's opposite from the 7th house. I mean, it's opposite from the 1st house, the 7th house. So if the 1st house is I am, and you put it in the 7th house, is someone else's I am. So now you're relating your own communication to someone else's communication, and you got that communication skill from the 3rd house. So now the 3rd air house jump into the 7th. Now you're able to communicate effectively with others, or ineffectively, depending on the placements or the signs here. Now that you have a basic awareness of how you communicate, you got your own personal communication style. Now you take this fixed personality of communicating, and now you apply it to the public. Now you know how to talk to associates, people you never seen before, people, because you have your own fixated way of communicating, and now you know how to assert it in all kind of situations. Whether you're trying to get a job, whether you're going out, whether you're introducing yourself to new people, whether you're dealing with the people you already know, whether you have a broad perspective of ideas of how to put yourselves in communicate, how you communicate at work, things of that nature. That's the 11th house. How you utilize your communication skills worldwide. You see what I'm saying? So you took from the 3rd house how you basically conceive it, communication. Take to the 7th house how you relate your own communication style to others. Now you're a practical citizen in the world with a communication style that you can apply to everybody. So when you meet everybody who meets you, as long as you're a solid person, because it's supposed to be a fixed sign, more geared towards fixed air here, because now that you have your own fixed way of being communicative and thinking, and once you apply that to the public, you won't be manipulated easy or swayed easy by people you may not know or other, because you have your own sense of communication now. So when you're in the public, you have your sense of who you are. So you're not too gullible or anything like that, or you're not too initiative and trying to create too much other things and not being aware of the senses around you. Like if it was cardinal, no, it's fixed. You understand other people there, and you understand to initiate something new, but you even understand your own communication style also. So for an example, I don't have no planets in none of these air houses. So my communication is shot. Like it's hard for me to respond. It's hard for me to a lot of times I overthink about what I'm saying before I say it. So a lot of times I may not say nothing at all. A lot of times when it comes to community, and then the only way I can activate it is by looking at the house lords. So it's like a lot of times, like my 3rd house is Libra. So just naturally,